Hey, welcome back to another video. I'm Ivan Calderon, and today I'm going to show you the easiest way to program guitar melodies. So I think it's fair to say that programming guitar over MIDI is probably one of the hardest things to make sound natural. Personally, and this is just me, but most of the time I will opt to record guitar with a real instrument simply because it sounds that much better to me. However, I also realize that that might not be an option for everyone. Well then, today I have a plugin for you that was sent over to me by the people over at Ujam that honestly has impressed me quite a bit. The plugin is called Silk, and it is essentially a virtual guitarist. Check out this beat that I made with it last week. Ujam has an entire virtual guitarist line of plugins, including basses and electric guitars, but for this video, I wanted to try the acoustic version. I'll be linking the plugin down below in case you want to pick it up, but without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so this is Silk, and more or less, as mentioned, this is your virtual guitarist in the style of an acoustic nylon guitar. The VST itself is divided into two sections, with the top being reserved for performance and the bottom for sound design. The basic gist of this plugin is that you can press down one key on your keyboard and have it play a chord with different styles and articulations depending on what parameters you have set. So for example, without touching any of the parameters yet, I'm just going to press the C key, and this is what happens. But okay, let's go through the VST and see what you get. At the top, you will find a preset drop-down menu that houses different presets ranging from alternative to folk and country, Latin, and even pop. Under that, you have a style drop-down menu that further lets you adjust how something is played. So, for example, under the presets, I'm gonna pick something under pop. Let's pick this here, the first one, Angel's Harp. From there, I can further adjust that preset by picking a style. So let me pick smooth pop, and this is how that would sound. And mind you, I just played two keys right there. To the right, you have a key and chord selection bar. So you have the option to restrict this to only a specific key. So let me pick one here, for example. And then if I press the C key on my keyboard, I get a C minor chord. The next couple buttons here are really interesting because the latch button, for example, lets you trigger a chord or multiple chords, a chord progression, without you having to hold the key down on your keyboard. So whereas before, if you wanted to trigger something and have it keep playing, you'd have to hold that key down. With the latch button on, you can just hit it once, and it'll just keep playing. There's also a handy speed selector here, so you can choose to have your chord be played at regular time, half time, or double time. So for example, this is regular time. We could also do half time or double time. The remaining parameters also let you adjust things like the swing, the timing, the feel, and the variance, and all of these things help with the performance, but where it gets really interesting is in this section here to the left. Now, if you notice, the functionality of this VST expands 6 octaves. Octaves 4 through 6 are reserved for chords, so pressing C4 or anything above that gives you a chord like I've shown you before. Below that though, C2 to C3 lets you further adjust the articulation of the style that you picked. So I can go even further and select different ways that I want this smooth pop style to be played. So let me play that C minor chord again, and I'll cycle through some of these style phrases so you get an idea. The style phrases that you select here will always change depending on what style you have selected up here, but if you want more common phrases, you can always go an octave lower. Selecting any key from C1 to C2 will allow you to play some of these common phrases here. Now, if that wasn't cool enough, you can go to the third octave, so starting at C3, and further modify that chord by adding a bass note to it to make it a little bit more interesting. Check this out. Now you'll be able to use this plugin whether you have a MIDI keyboard or not. And even if you have a little one like this Akai LPK25, it'll still work great. However, where this plugin truly shines is when you have a 49 key keyboard and above, because at that point, you have multiple octaves available to you that you can then use to play a chord and then modify the style on the fly. What this ultimately means is that you'll be able to play and record more complex guitar arrangements that would otherwise take you much longer to program note by note. Let me show you an example of this. Moving to the bottom, the sound design section is pretty straightforward but super powerful. Here we have options that let you change things like where things are played on the guitar, so either closer to the neck or to the bridge. You can change the character, you can change the fret noise, whether you want to double things up or not. You even have the option to change mics, and of course, basic parameters like reverb and delay. Okay, so overall thoughts. I really love this plugin. Now, I don't know if this will ever replace my actual guitar, but this is at the end of the day a really powerful tool to have in your toolbox. And for me, it gives me the option to lay something down quickly if I don't ever want to pull out the entire rig. On top of that, if you don't play guitar, this could be your guitar weapon of choice. Now, as much as I love this VST, there are some things that could be improved upon. Number one is that you can't really record the full MIDI of the performance that you just played. As it stands, whenever you record something, you're only going to be able to record that one note that you played, along with any modifier keys that changed any of the phrases. It would be really beneficial if you could record the entire MIDI performance, because at that point, we could take that MIDI, duplicate it, add it into another instrument, and keep going on from there, or simply just change the performance once it's already been recorded. Second, I noticed that there isn't a feature that allows you to program individual notes much like you would in a piano roll. Now, to be clear, there are two common phrases here, so one starting at the B flat and the other one starting at the B natural, that allow you to play individual notes, but for some reason they're not placed in order of pitch. So let me show you what I mean. The B flat key plays the higher notes, and if I play the C major scale, this is what happens. If I play, or if I activate the B natural common phrase, which is for lower notes, the same thing occurs. I'm not quite sure why it's doing this, but if you could have these two phrases play the notes in order based in pitch, much like you would see in a piano roll, it would be really beneficial to producers like me, because that way we can program complex guitar compositions, but also sprinkle in single guitar notes to make it a little bit more interesting. Number three, even though you can lock in a key here, you can only do it with major keys. So for example, if I drop that menu down, you'll be able to see that all of these are available, but they're only major. C major, C sharp major, D major, E flat major. There is no way, seemingly, to play in a minor scale. Now, as it turns out, there is a way to play in minor scales or minor keys, but you have to program the VST to its relative major scale. So for example, if I pull up the circle of fifths here in Studio One, if I want to play in C minor, then I have to program the VST to E flat major, because that's its relative major scale, meaning they share the same notes. So again, if I want to play in C minor, I have to program the VST to E flat major. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's go ahead and go down here to E flat. And now if I play the first chord, we get C minor. Now, I'm not quite sure what the thought process was behind this, but if we could have those minor scales be available under this drop-down menu, it would make it a lot easier, especially for someone who isn't as well-versed in theory. Now, last but not least, and this is my last improvement recommendation, I promise, is that whenever you lock in a key, you still have to know what notes fall under that scale, because the program does not mute any notes that fall out of it. So for example, if I select an A flat major scale, if I were to play an A flat, it should give me an A flat major chord. And it does. If I play the B flat, it should give me a B flat minor chord. And that's also true. If I play a C, it should give me a C minor chord. And that's also true. However, if I go one key back to B natural, which is not part of the A flat major scale, it allows me to play it, but not only that, it also plays the B major chord, which again is not part of this scale. If there was a way to mute the notes that don't belong to a key once you lock it in, it would make it really easy for someone who maybe doesn't know theory as well to play and program the correct notes. Now overall though, like I said, I really still do love and enjoy this plugin, and I think it is definitely a game changer and a powerful tool for anybody who might not know how to play guitar themselves. And if Ujam is able to implement any of the changes that I just mentioned, it would make it easily my favorite guitar VST. As mentioned, I will be leaving Silk down below in case you want to do their trial or just pick it up all together. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video if you like to, subscribe if you're not already, but I will see you on the next one.